Good afternoon, and welcome to the September 9th afternoon update for the Caldor fire. My name is Isaac Sanchez. I'm the Public Information Officer for Cal Fire Incident Management Team 2 in cooperation with NEMO Team 2. Before we begin, I would like to point your attention to the QR code that is on your screen for those that are viewing virtually. You can point your cell phone camera at that QR code and it will lead you to additional links that have been established in relation to this incident, and it contains information on resources that will be valuable to the community. Additionally, we have established 2 phone numbers for information. The first for the public is 530-303-2455 and is operation between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. The second is for our media cooperators, 530-806-3212, and that number will be answered 24 hours a day. As of today, the Caldor fire is 217,946 acres and is 53% contained. It is still currently the 15th largest fire in California history. As we move forward today, please keep in mind you can submit questions in the Zoom chat. But if you do, please indicate that it is for the West PIO or the East PIO. Additionally, if you are following along on Facebook, you can submit questions in the chat section, and we will do our best to answer your questions before we complete our presentation today. Our first speaker will be Operations for the West Zone, Bill Monday.
Good afternoon, everybody. Bill Monday with National Incident Management Organization Team 2 and representing CAL FIRE Team 2. So I'll do a walk around on the fire on the West Zone for you this afternoon and let you know what's going on and where we're headed into tomorrow's operational period. So I'll start down here in Kirkwood. Things are continuing to progress. We do have some substantial southwest wind, which is in our favor today down here. So we're continuing. We've got all of our crews in place. We're running a lot of our helicopters in there, trying to make sure we can secure that line as fast as possible and make sure all the infrastructure and the residents down here are safe. So that's ongoing. Again, as I mentioned yesterday, we're anticipating 2 or 3 more days to get all this work completed, and then we'll start going forward with getting things black-lined around here in the Kirkwood area. Coming down the Highway 88 corridor, much of the same. We're still trying to battle that fire from coming across the highway. Crews are in there, things are looking good, but this is some real tough fuel types in here. As these trees, those fir trees ignite, they throw spot fires out across the highway, and so we're continuing to pick up spot fires on the south side of Highway 88, adjacent to Silver Lake over here, and across in the Tragedy Springs area to the south. Again, this area as well, a lot of work that was done prior to the whole Highway 88 corridor, so we're putting a bunch of heavy equipment in there, trying to get all of the logs that were cut and all the slash that was piled up on the side of the highway, all that removed, so when we are able to do a repopulation here in the future, all that stuff will be safe along the highway corridor. Coming around the bottom of our fire, up around towards Highway 50, fire is sitting real good, no issues. Again, we're still getting a lot of service calls, and that's okay. We do know that there's continuing stumps to continue to burn interior, there's snags continuing to burn interior, and as we still will continue to monitor those and have folks out there that'll continue to suppress that stuff adjacent to the perimeter over the next few days, even into the next few weeks. Up along Highway 50, towards Kybers and Silver Fork, a lot of work is currently being done. There's hazard trees, and what I mean by hazard trees, those are fire-weakened trees. Trees that took fire, that are real weak, that have a potential to fall on either the highway corridor or on a lot of the cabins or the residents up there. So we've got multiple crews up there trying to take care of anything that could pose a threat to the highway and to the residents, all the way from the roadblock all the way up through Strawberry and all the way up to over the pass into the other zone. So a lot of folks are working that highway corridor, trying to make that as safe as possible so we can get you all repopulated in a timely manner. But there's still those trees that we got to mitigate that hazard first and foremost. Up here in the Division India piece, things are going good. We continue to fly our crews up there every morning, and they continue to secure all that. We've got multiple helicopters working with those folks as we speak, trying to prevent that fire from hooking around up here by Wrights Lake and moving back to the west. The line is in place, hose is in place. It's just a matter of securing the fire edge right now. Again, we're anticipating hopefully another 48 hours or so, and we'll continue to gain some containment going up in towards the wilderness area here. With that, have a great afternoon, and I'll turn it over to our law enforcement folks on the West Branch.
Good evening, Lieutenant Stark with Incident Management Team 2. As you can see, we have a significant amount of fire suppression activity and safety concerns inside the fire and along the perimeter edge. We continue to hold meetings with stakeholders, El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, to monitor what's going on, to make sure that when we send you guys back in, it's done safely as possible. We have deputies out in the field giving us real-time information that we're using to implement into our plans and our pre-plans so that we have the most up-to-date information, working closely with fire ops to make sure this is done correctly. Now I'm going to turn it over to Incident Commander Baraka Carter.
Good evening, Baraka Carter, Deputy IC for Incident Management Team 2, representing the Unified ICs on the West Zone. So for the next 48 to 72 hours is going to be critical for our success on this incident here. You heard operations speak about some of the concerns along Highway 50 and Highway 88. It's our goal to try to get the community back into its community as quickly as possible. But we need to make sure that we're doing that in a safe and effective manner. I understand that being displaced could be troublesome and stressful for a lot of the residents, but our goal is to ensure that your return back to your home is in a safe manner. So if you could just ensure that, be patient with us and ensure, I guess I would ask for you to just be patient with us. It's going to be a process, but as soon as we can, we'll get you back to your home as quickly as possible. Some of the things about the fire right now, I understand that there's some concerns in regards to the cause of the fire. That is still under investigation. If you could just give us some time to go through the process. We want to make sure that we're able to contain the fire safely and then get you back into your home as quickly as possible. That's going to be our goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and toss to our cooperators in the East Zone. Sean, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Isaac, and welcome everybody to the East Zone. Tonight, first up, I'd like to introduce to you California Interagency Incident Management Team 4, Operations Section Chief Carl Jacobson.
Good evening. We had another productive day out there today. Everything remained in its current footprint, starting here near Celio Ranch, moving around Gunmount, all the way to Echo Dam. Crews continue to mop up and secure the area in Lower Echo Lake as well as Upper Echo Lake where the fire has backed down to the line. They were able to secure the first 50 feet today, so we're making really good progress on mopping up this area in the Echo Lakes. As we move out into the wilderness boundary, crews are continuing to mop up and secure this perimeter that we have on the northern flank, preventing any further northern progression from this hot piece that we have here, and they are beginning to work towards Ralston Peak. As we move into Delta Delta, Mike, everything continues to hold within its current perimeter. We do have a little bit of heat here in the Saxon area, and they're working that, making sure that nothing is threatening the lines as we do have these increased winds that we're seeing today. Right now, everything's looking really good, and the crews are engaged in mopping up and doing everything they can in here. As we move into Papa, southern progression does continue on the line. We did get a small dozer and a hotshot crew, and they're continuing to work direct line to the southwest, as well as inserting multiple crews here in the DP 68 area, coordinating with the West Zone. We're working into the West Zone to establish an anchor point for the crews to continue working to the east and to the north. They are making good progress in here. We did see some increased activity in here today. There is heavy timber in the area. It has thrown some spots out in front. That's slowing progress a little bit, but we have had a lot of assistance from aviation assets in the area, and they are making good progress down here. In the Caples Lake area, everything is holding north of Caples Lake. We are continuing to mop up the eastern side as well as continue with direct hand line construction towards the west. We've progressed the hand line to about the zone boundary now and are continuing to work west. As far as infrastructure goes and in what we have in the structure group, they are continuing to mop up and patrol in Christmas Valley, as well as Upper Apache. We've been working closely with Caltrans in the 50 area near Echo Summit, Johnson Pass Road, dropping hazard trees, doing what we can to make this area safe. It's going to be a process. It's going to take a few days, but we are getting started on that and trying to do what we can to open things up. Have a good night.
Thanks for that, Kyle. My name is Sean Collins, and I'm the information officer here for California Interagency Incident Management Team 4. Next, I'd like to invite up from El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Simon Brown.
All right, thank you, Sean. So we'll start with the good news. We were able to successfully open some areas from an order to a warning. So that's the area of Myers. It's the last part of Pioneer Trail from Elks Club up to Highway 50. And it's going to be Upper and Lower Apache, all the way to the traffic circle at 89 and 50, including Cornelian and the couple of streets there that connect to 89 side right there, 89 and 50. So I want to also explain, there was some confusion today. I saw someone showed us a picture of the map that we use for reference. And in that map, it showed North Upper Truckee and a warning. That is not the case. The map was accurate when it was sent out. So I'm not sure at what point that map did show that. So if some of you did see that, please understand that that was not intentional, and it shouldn't be used to indicate that North Upper Truckee area is in a warning. That area is still on an evacuation order, and so is Pioneer. And some of the people, they keep having questions about when they see the map and they hear that all this work has been done in here. It's amazing amount of work that's been done up there, and Rocky's going to come in after me and correct everything I say. But I want to explain that between the wind today and the terrain, and for the first time sitting in Myers today, I felt that wind hit me, and it was pushing hard, and I could smell fresh smoke, which I hadn't smelled in a while either, which tells me conditions are changing. And that burning here at Echo Lakes, the wind's pushing it directly over the area of North Upper Truckee, and that's why we're just being extra cautious right now. Us and fire agree 100% it's not safe until the wind moves on. So please be patient. We're going to talk about it every day, and as soon as the wind settles down and the progress is finished out there, we're very excited to get you guys back at home. We don't keep these evacuation orders in place to make our lives easy. It actually makes our lives very difficult, and it's worth it. It's worth it to keep you guys safe. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. Thanks.
Thank you, Simon. Before we move on to our next guest, you mentioned the weather, and we are approaching a serious weather front that's coming in. And with that, our incident meteorologist, who you may have saw yesterday, we produced a video about the weather. And you can see that on the Facebook site for the Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit. So please check that out. And tomorrow, the weather has been increased to a red flag warning. So that's tomorrow, Friday, September the 10th. Next up, from the Southwest Gas, Supervisor for District Operations, Jimmy Smith.
Good evening. Today's message is going to be marched right along with yesterday's. As the fire approached, we did secure the gas lines in the Christmas Valley area as a precaution. And as the fire continued on, we were able to maintain service throughout the rest of South Lake Tahoe, and at this point is still active. For those of you that are returning into your homes, if you turned your gas off as a precaution when you left, please give us a call at 877-860-6020. Again, that number is 877-860-6020. We'll send out a service technician to your house, and we'll get your gas service restored safely and verify that all your appliances are on. Our top priority is your safety. So we're hoping that you'll give us a call, so we'll take care of that for you and make sure that it's on properly and safely so there's no issues. Along those same lines, if for some reason you smell gas or if you suspect a gas leak, please leave the area or leave the structure you're in, call 911 and Southwest Gas from a safe location, and we'll get folks out there to help you out. Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy. And before we go on to closing comments with the incident commander, I'd like to bring back Sergeant Simon Brown.
All right, thanks, Sean. I had a quick question about road closures. So the road closure on Pioneer Trail was at Elks Club. That's now moved, so you can take Pioneer Trail all the way through to access your properties. Highway 50 is still closed at Myers at 50 and 89, and then it's also closed on Sawmill and Lake Tahoe Boulevard to prevent the people going into the North Upper Truckee area. Thanks.
All right, thanks for that great update there. Last up for our speaker list today, I'd like to introduce to you Incident Commander Rocky Opliger.
Again, good evening. My name is Rocky Opliger. I am the Incident Commander for California Interagency Incident Management Team 4. First of all, I want to welcome and thank everybody for logging in virtually to our daily community meetings to get the latest update on information. Well, we heard from the folks here prior to me talking about the conditions. The weather conditions are pretty serious. We have 2 days of challenging weather, and our highest level of priority is your safety. As we heard from operations, as we heard from the sheriff, as we heard from even the infrastructure, the gas folks, it's a collaborative effort. We work together every day on several meetings to take a look at potential areas that are currently in a evacuation order, and are we have that time or in that place of opportunity to reduce that. And so the residents that were allowed to go in when we reduced those through warning, there was a whole lot of work that went into that decision to be made. As I talked about yesterday, there's secondary effects caused by the fire. The fire is still a threat in key areas that was outlined by the operation folks both on the west and east. Ones that could potentially fall, many of them that have fallen. And we have to go in there with the resources, clean those up. Many of them still have heat. We have stump holes that retain heat. So it really is the effort of going in, ensuring that every one of those items that could potentially be a risk to you and your families as you go in on a reentry. So I ask that you do continue to be patient. We've got those 2 challenging days, but I know talking to all the agencies, the local fire districts, the local PD, the county sheriffs, all of our cooperators responsible for infrastructure such as gas, water, electric, and again, all the agencies working together, even those that are affected potentially if the fire were to continue to the northeast, are working collaboratively to ensure our number 1 priority, your safety, and allowing you to get back into your residence. So on behalf of both our team, CAL FIRE Team 2, NEMO Team 2, and the federal agencies that are involved, we know that we have the El Dorado National Forest, we have contractors, and all of our cooperators working together 24 hours as we operate and manage this incident to provide the highest level of information and again, your safety. And we're looking at a couple of days, but I know we're all looking much.
All right, thanks for that, Chief. So that concludes the update from the east side. Before I toss it back over, I'd just like to remind everybody, questions to the east zone, put that in your title, and then questions to the west zone, please put that in your title, and be assured that we have a group of fantastic information officers that are busily answering those questions, and the ones that we think should be identified to everybody, we'll have those questions up for you in a second. So thank you very much, everybody. Back to you, Isaac.
Thank you, Sean. And before we open it up for Q&A, I would just like to remind everybody that's watching virtually that if you do have questions, you can submit them via Zoom and through Facebook. But if you do, please indicate whether they are for the east zone or the west zone. If we are unable to get to your questions this afternoon, please submit them. We will do our best to get to them throughout the day today and tomorrow. And then again, make an attempt at our 5 p.m. Briefing for tomorrow. First step for Q&A will be Unified Incident Commander Baraka Carter.
Okay, good evening. So we have a couple questions. One of the questions is inquiring about our injured firefighter. I will say we appreciate the question and your concern. It will be a long road to recovery. He's still in the hospital, but he's doing well. He's with family, friends and family, and we appreciate your question and your concerns for him. And then the other question is, like, how many counties have come together to fight this fire? I will say that we have resources throughout the nation that has come together to help suppress the fire here locally. So it's a collective effort amongst all agencies across the nation, and without their support, we would have a hard time. So thank you for those questions.
All right. Hi again, everybody. Bill Monday with Operations. So I got a handful of questions here that I'll run through with you. The first one is, when are you going to open up Kybers? TV news footage shows Highway 50 is cleared with no downed trees. So we have started working our way east, all the way up the Highway 50 corridor. Crews are getting closer and closer to Kybers in the Silver Fork area. As I mentioned before, there's multiple fire weakened trees, not just along the highway corridor, but in and around the structures in Kybers, east of the river, and in Silver Fork. So we have folks in there assessing all that. The news media might not see all that stuff, but please be aware that we have a lot of folks in there taking care of all of these hazards, and we're trying to make it as timely as possible, and we know we want to get you guys back in there as soon as we possibly can. So please work with us on that. The next question is can you address Silver Lake? Is there a concern that the wind will push the fire across Highway 88? There is that concern. As everybody's here is well aware of, as these storm systems roll in here, we can get outflow winds from all these storms. Right now we have a sustained southwest wind, which is kind of parallel in the Silver Lake area down there. But if we start to get any westerly influence or a northerly influence wind, we could have potential with that fire trying to push again on the Highway 88 corridor. So we're still not 100% out of the woods in the Silver Lake area. And the next two are real similar. Will the wind event cause problems for aircraft? Absolutely, they can. So if we get sustained wind speeds of upwards of 20 plus miles an hour, that'll start to limit what we can do with our helicopters and our fixed wing. So as over the next 24 hours with the red flag warning, if we start to get high wind speeds, that will limit our aircraft, especially in higher elevations where going across the top of the wilderness area, that could definitely limit how much work we can do with aircraft up there. And that's it. Thank you.
Sergeant Eric Palmberg, PIO for the Sheriff's Office. Had a few questions here regarding security in the greater Tahoe area and these evacuated areas. The Sheriff's Office is still conducting 24-hour patrols. We have a really significant number of agencies, allied agencies, as well as our own deputies out there doing security patrol, protecting those homes that are still under evacuation order. We are also getting a lot of questions about Grizzly Flats. Repopulation of Grizzly Flat area. When is this going to happen? How is it going to happen? Lots and lots of questions and calls on that. So I've been in contact with our Emergency Operations Center and our Office of Emergency Services all day today. They are basically coming up with the verbiage for a release. We're going to be doing a release tonight throughout all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram, and those will also be shared with CAL FIRE AEU website for their show. So there will be specific details regarding the plan, the timeline, and a lot more information you folks have been looking for. So please monitor your social media and expect to see that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And again, thank you to everybody that answered questions, and of course the residents that have submitted questions. I'd like to take this opportunity to pass the presentation back to the East Zone. Sean, go ahead with your Q&A.
Hey, thanks, Isaac. So first up, we've got from Southwest Gas, Jimmy Smith.
So the first question that came my way was, what does securing gas lines mean? So when it comes to an incident like this, the gas company has the ability to turn off large areas. So instead of just a single meter or maybe a street, we have isolation valves that are set up in certain locations where we can strategically shut off gas to certain areas in order to mitigate the hazards. So in this case, we were able to shut off the gas to all of Christmas Valley with a couple of valves. So that's what we did. Now, the next question goes on. These next two kind of go together, so I'm going to answer them together. The first one is any ETA on the gas service restoration in Christmas Valley? And the other is it on now or is it off now? So Christmas Valley is on now, but the meters in Christmas Valley are off. So the first thing we do after securing the area is go in and turn all the gas meters off. Then we go in and regas the system, purge it. And at this point, once it's safe for the residents in Christmas Valley to come back in, we will be ready as well with service techs in the area. And as you're driving in, our plan is to have a service tech on the street, and you may not get out of your car before the first person shows up to talk to you about it. But we will have people in the area when that day occurs so that we can start getting people on. To restore service in Christmas Valley, we will need to get into each and every home to be able to turn it back on. So it will be a process, but we're going to be geared up to make it fast. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jimmy. Next up from our Operations Section Chief, Kyle Jacobson.
Okay, well, the first question here is, can you give us more details on the uncontained side of Trimmer Peak? So we do have line around Trimmer Peak. The fire is still within its current containment lines. There are several steps that need to happen before we turn that area black. So first the crews go in and they mop up the edge, making sure they take out any heat that's threatening the line. Then we insert the resources and they actually grid the area. They line out in a long line and they actually feel the ground with their hands to make sure that there's not any heat they aren't seeing. They mop up any of that heat. And then we'll go ahead, once we're sure that we have that line really secure, we'll go ahead and contain that line. So we're still in the process of doing that right now, although it is all still within our line right as we speak. Is there an estimation with ember dispersion with the wind today? So that's a kind of a fire behavior question, but we do have spotting distances that could be up to a half mile, and the probability of ignition or the chance that one of those embers would actually catch is 80 to 90%. So 8 or 9 of every 10 embers has the possibility of becoming a spot fire. So that is what could happen if the fire behavior does pick up. The next question was, at places with no access via roads, such as Echo Lakes, how do you remove hazard trees? We send people out on foot. We have highly skilled falling modules that get out on the ground. They will hike miles a day, removing those trees and doing everything we can to make that safe for the public. So they're out there working really hard, and we have several of those modules on the fire right now. Next question was, is it anticipated any warnings will change to orders due to the wind? We don't anticipate changing any warnings to orders. However, I would like to remind everybody that you are in a warning area and you should be prepared to leave should that occur. Do we anticipate that? No, we don't want that to happen, but we do want everybody to be prepared. And the next question was very similar to that. Are we anticipating additional evacs? Once again, we aren't anticipating any additional evacs. We're doing everything we can to prevent any additional evacs from occurring. But if you are in a warning area, you should be prepared to leave. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that, Kyle. And just to remind everybody, the Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit on Facebook, if you can't remember that, the LTBMU, just put that in the search box and we'll come up. We have constantly people monitoring those every day for any questions that you may have. We share everything that El Dorado and CAL FIRE have, and we also have the links to their link tree, which is a very, very informative group of information for your use as you come back home and if unfortunately you are still evacuated. With that being said, over to you, Isaac.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you to everybody over in the East Zone from California Interagency Incident Management Team 4. This is going to conclude our English language presentation. Next, I would like to bring up our Spanish language translator, Marco Rodriguez.
Buenas tardes, vocero Marco Rodríguez con el incidente de Caldor. Para darles un breve información acerca del incendio en este septiembre 9, 2021. Lo que es el incendio no ha cambiado la huella, seguimos con los mismos números de acres quemados. Estamos ahorita en 217,946 hectáreas quemadas con contención de 53%. También tenemos 4,532 personas que están trabajando en el incidente. Les voy a dar un resumen general de lo que está pasando en el incendio. Las cosas no siguen cambiando mucho. Estamos trabajando en estas áreas de lo que es la carretera 50. Estamos tratando de mantenerlas y evitar que los árboles que están en esa área se vayan a caer en la carretera y causen accidentes. Así que lo que es la carretera 50 y la carretera 88, seguimos viendo en estas áreas negras a las personas, los bomberos haciendo ese trabajo de mantener esos árboles afuera de las carreteras. Adentro seguimos metiendo a gente y apagando a esas brasas que siguen calientes en estas áreas que están en negro. Este periodo de 24 horas y a 48 horas vamos a ver viento en estas áreas y estamos revisando y enforzando estas líneas de contención en lo que es la parte norte y la parte sur del incendio en la población de Kirkwood y aquí en Rice Lake. Aquí tenemos a gente que viene trabajando a escuadras tácticas que vienen en helicóptero y están trabajando unas 16 horas al día para poder seguir evitando que ese incendio avance. En la parte de aquí arriba, del lado este, se está viendo una línea de contención más grande y estamos tratando de repoblar a estas poblaciones en el lado este. Las cosas siguen mejorando y seguimos viendo y abriendo repoblaciones para el área del este. Si quieren nos pasamos para acá y podemos ver en el mapa que hemos abierto en el área de Myers, al sur de Lake Tahoe, se ha abierto las poblaciones de Myers y ya no solamente hay advertencia y no necesitan estar afuera, ya están regresando las gentes a sus casas. Cuando la gente regrese a sus casas es importante que si huelen gas, llamen a la compañía o llamen al 911 y se salgan del edificio. Va a haber muchas camionetas de utilidades que están entrando a hacer trabajo y para que la gente vuelva a sus casas. Así que, por favor, tengan cuidado cuando estén manejando en esa área. Los bomberos están trabajando muy fuerte en establecer esa línea de contención para que el fuego no suba de huella y podamos abrir las dos carreteras, la 50 y la 88. Eso es todo lo que tengo que reportarles hoy. Gracias.
Thank you, Marco. This will conclude our presentation for the afternoon. Again, I would like to remind everybody that are still watching, you can point your cell phone at the QR code that is on the screen, which will take you to additional links that have been established for this incident. And as always, for tips on what you can do to prepare yourselves and your families from wildfire, please visit readyforwildfire.org. Thank you.